warm up the insides, okay? So, okay, that's it, you're on.
All right. Good morning, everybody. We're here to talk to you guys a little bit about how you can master your organizational communication within the workplace. All of our work here has been derived from Chapter 1 of Hamilton's text, Communicating for Results. So, I'm Nolan. I just graduated from the University of Massachusetts Amherst with my sport management degree.
Is it on? I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good. So, I just graduated from the University of Massachusetts with my sport management degree this fall. Now I'm going to hand it off to my teammates just to introduce themselves really quick.
Yeah, thank you everybody. So my name is Chris. I go by Ian as well, but I am a recent graduate from FAU. Did my management information systems degree here, and now I'm an intern at Worldwide Technology. It's a big tech company, and I'll pass it off to Luciana.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Luciana. I graduated December 2024 from marketing at UWF, and I'm part of the MBA here at FAU. So we will, I pass it to Nolan to continue with our introduction.
Perfect. Let's get into it. So first I want you guys to picture something. Imagine the last time you were at work, in the workplace, and you miscommunicated something to a team member. Whether it was them misunderstanding it or you miscommunicating it yourself, how much time, money, and trust do you think that cost you, that person, and the organization? The answer is probably a lot of each of these things. Common workplace misunderstandings actually can make up for 7 weeks out of the 52-week fiscal period of lost time, as well as losing for about 40 to 50% of total revenue that you would spend during those weeks collecting revenue. So we're going to talk to you guys through this presentation just a little bit about how you can reduce those workplace misunderstandings, reduce those significant costs, get rid of time loss, and have not such a negative impact on your business, but instead utilize communication to have a positive impact. So let's go over what we're going to talk about here today. First, Luciana's going to go over our communication definition and the models of communication within an organization. Then she's going to hand it off to Chris. He's going to talk about the transactional model in a little bit of detail and how that can reduce misunderstandings in the workplace. It's going to come back to me. I'm going to talk about communication functions and how it flows in the workplace. Then we're going to wrap it all up with a Kahoot and talk about how you can improve organizational success. So now, handing it over to Luciana to talk to you guys a little bit about communication and the communication models within the workplace.
Thank you so much, Nolan. So you may be thinking that the definition of communication isn't even that important, right? Because communication is something we use every day, we talk to everybody, it's just, we take it as a given. But to understand the communication definition is key so that we understand what goes behind it and how we can improve our communication, right? So if I ask you what communication is, you may say that it's just the transfer of thoughts and ideas between one person to another. But that's just too simple. And that definition implies just person A, just me, sending a message and transferring my thoughts to someone else, and that person receiving that information, right? By communication, it's much more complex than that. And so to build a more complete definition of communication, we go back to the Latin root of the word communicate, which is communicare. That means to share or to make common. So keeping this in mind, we can build our more complex definition of communication, which is to share thoughts, ideas, and feelings from one person to another in commonly understandable ways. So now that we understand a more complete version of our definition, we can go to our 3 models. We know the number 3 is key, so it's easy to remember, right? First, we have one-way model, where we see, can you click on the first image, please? Perfect. Here we can see just a linear process, which is not how in real life communication works, because this implies that person A sends a message and quotes the message, and then person B receives the message and quotes the message, and that's it. And well, it includes internal noise and external noise that are factors that will go through the models that are key to consider. But this is not how real communication works. So now, this process has gone through an evolution. Like people have researched more about communication, and that's how this models have been built. Now we have the circular model, which is a more dynamic and interactive process since it includes feedback that we know is key, because whenever we talk to somebody, they receive the message, they code it, and then comes back to us, right? So that's key to consider on this model. But next, we have the more complete version and the one that we actually use. And we might not consider it since it looks super complex, but this is what actually happens when we have communication. So this one considers environment, even if we don't realize our environment always shapes how we communicate. Then we had this fact that we overlap in communication because whenever communication isn't perfect, right? When you communicate, you don't wait until the other person responds in that way. So we build communication in between each of us talking, building the conversation. So that is key. And then my teammate Chris is going to expand more on it, but this is really important, frame of reference. So I can go
Oh, love it.
to frame of reference, which is really important. And this one also adds stimulation and motivation that each person has when having a conversation. So considering these three models as really important, especially this one, since understanding everything that comes into play, we can pinpoint where in the communication we might have misunderstanding, errors. We know we all have misunderstandings we're talking about. Considering all of this, we can find out where issues may arise. So now I'm gonna pass it on to my teammate Chris for him to expand on the transactional model.
Thank you, Lucio. So this is the most realistic model in our day-to-day lives. If you lose everything else I say today, just remember this. This is the most realistic model that we do every single day. First, we have the sender and the receiver. You and I are both talking. We are always communicating with one another. We are both active communicators when we talk. Next, you have the stimulation and the motivation. We all have different motivations when we speak to one another. I might have a motivation to speak to my boss. I want to get promoted. That is my motivation when I speak to him. So just think about it like that. Next, we have encoding and decoding. We both are actively trying to figure out one another and what we are saying. This is actually the most common place for misunderstandings and misinterpretation. Most people get into this space and try to figure out and understand people's words and behavior, but then we go to the last part, the frame of reference. We all come from different unique backgrounds. We all speak differently. We all have different behaviors. And so that is the big four key details. And now I'm gonna get into the key elements. These are especially vital when we talk about our communication. First, we have the code. Has anybody heard of code switching? Yeah, perfect. All right. So that's what this is. Just think about it like that. We all speak differently. I'm going to speak to my mom differently than I speak to you guys. It's just true. Next, you have the channel of communication. This could be your phone, your computer, text, in-person communication. It's all very complex. Next, we have feedback. So we are trusting you guys to give us great feedback so that we can ultimately improve in our performance and accuracy in how we speak to one another. Next is the environment. This is a different environment than we'd be talking outside. I'm not gonna be talking like this, trust me. And then last, we have the noise. That is ultimately distractions that happen on a day-to-day basis. So if I was talking to you and all you heard was us just knocking sound the entire time, that would be really distracting when we talk, ultimately. And that would honestly cause internal emotions to come out, stressors, and that all plays a big role in how we communicate. So now I'm going to pass it off to Nolan, and he's going to explain more about communication and organizations.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris. So I'm going to talk to you guys just a little bit about how communication actually flows within an organization. So there's two main ways that communication flows in an organization. That's formal networks and informal networks. So let's start with formal networks. In your formal networks, you have downwards communication, you have upwards communication, you have horizontal communication. So with your downwards communication, this is where you see CEOs talking down to VPs, VPs talking down to directors, directors talking down to your lower level employees, so on and so forth, right? And this is really just to get information across, to get directions across, just any kind of message that needs to go from the top of the chain down to the bottom of the chain. And the most important part here is it doesn't skip any step in the ladder. So now we have upwards communication, which is a little bit different, but it's basically the same premise. It's the exact opposite, where you have people at the bottom of the chain, like your lower level employees talking to directors talking to your vice presidents to CEOs, so on and so forth, right? So upwards communication, downwards communication, very simple to understand, both really for directional purposes. Upwards communication is a little bit meant for more of the sort of confusion or feedback route. Then you have horizontal communication. And this is where we see, like, for example, the CIO and CFO example that we had in class 2 days ago, where you have two people at the same step of the chain talking back and forth with one another. And that's usually if they need to figure out a problem, if they need to get in touch, if both teams are kind of out of sync, they need to figure out a big project. This is where horizontal communication really takes place. Now we have our informal networks. And this is really just a naturally developing social network, the grapevine they call it. And the grapevine, what that means is you can have somebody who's way down here on the chain, right? Somebody who just got hired onto the staff talking to somebody way up here, like a higher level director, vice president, CEO, whatever it may be. So it's two places from completely different spots in the chain talking with each other. And this is your water cooler talk, right? So this can be anything socially. It can also go into digital platforms, as we've seen lately. Email chains, text group chats, things of that nature, social media specifically. And it's very naturally developing. A couple of drawbacks come with that, right? So you have, your drama spans from here, gossip, all your turmoil kind of spans from these informal networks. But they can also be really beneficial too. So you have things like rapid spread of information, enhanced collaboration. It forces people to talk to people, get out of their comfort zone, forces people to share ideas, get feedback from others. It's, if not the same amount of importance as formal networks, more important than formal networks because it allows people to be collaborative and be themselves. So now, to be able to handle these negative impacts of informal networks as well as formal networks, you need ethical communication principles, and you need to abide by these 4 rules right here. So the first one's honesty and transparency. If you're not honest and you're not transparent in your thoughts and your information, nobody's ever going to trust you. You lose a lot of credibility. You lose a lot of respect, which is a huge thing here. And if nobody respects you, nobody's going to take what you say for good. Next, you have confidentiality. Confidentiality is huge. If I were to be talking to Chris and then I get something back from Luciana that I was 100% sure I only talked to Chris about, I'm going to feel a little bit upset. I don't want him to go tell her my personal business when I had something with him, right? So if I get something back from somebody else, that shows me you're not respecting my privacy and you're not appropriately sharing my information. Next, we have the chain of command. This is when you refer to somebody higher than you in a negative way, or you refer to somebody lower than you in a negative way. You don't want to step over people and you don't want to abuse your authority. Always have respect for others, again, like I talked about, and never abuse your power. Lastly, it's just avoiding misinformation, and that's the biggest rule in my opinion, biggest 4th rule. It's preventing rumors, ensuring actual accuracy. You don't want to have your effective communication process get ruined by communication that isn't accurate. Effective communication can only be effective if it is accurate. So, now, with all that out of the way, I know you guys are a little bit tired of hearing us rant and talk and talk and talk. So we're going to get you guys in a little bit of a Kahoot here. We'll pull up the Kahoot on the board, and then you guys can go to Kahoot.com and then type in the join code.
Just quick 8 questions to see what's ticked. You can scan the QR code or use the pen. We're 11, so we're missing some people. Everybody's in? We're missing my marker too.
Anybody else want to go? Oh.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Alright, everybody.
Alrighty.
Does the prize get it? Does it make it right?
Tom.
What are your prize?
Feeling good about being an amazing thing here.
Come on, man.
Which model is most realistic for real-life communication? One-way, circular model, transactional, or linear?
Let's see if you guys remember.
Most realistic for real life. What really happens?
Yes, the transactional model.
What is
Winner.
the points, guys?
Congratulations.
In the transactional model, people are only senders, only receivers, both at once, silent.
Good, good, good. Love that. Natalie is killing it right now.
I thought she was checking her text.
She was paying attention this whole time. That's amazing.
Really bad.
Misunderstandings usually happen during encoding, decoding, feedback, or sending a message.
See if you guys remember this one.
Keep talking about it.
A little tricky.
I can tell.
Let's see.
Okay.
Yes,
Hey,
decoding.
perfect. They can happen everywhere, but usually where most happens is decoding.
Yep.
Ooh.
Marilyn.
Yes.
She's in the lead.
What shapes how you interpret messages? Code, channel, frame of reference, feedback.
Trying to make Griffin lose.
Yeah, bro, what that prize.
Yes, frame of reference.
How you interpret frame of reference with background is how you interpret messages. Those are tricky ones.
Whoever explained that.
Gee.
No, I'm just kidding.
Nah. This guy.
Emotions and stress are examples of
Uh-oh.
external noise, internal noise, feedback channels. Is that easy?
Got it.
You got it?
Got
Think
it.
so?
Got it.
Okay, let's see who gets it.
Good.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, internal noise. Oh, oh, this got a little close battle going on.
Two more. What is one benefit of the informal communication network? Rapid spread of information, maintains order within the organization, avoids confusion among the chain of command, assists in individual growth. Informal communication with grapevine.
Let's see. I feel like this is an easy one, guys.
I'm an effective communicator.
Yes, saben de música.
Not bad.
Correct. Shaw takes the lead. Oh my gosh.
I'm
He's locked
just
in.
forward. Which of the following best reflects ethical communication in an organization? Very long.
I just love the long ones. Yeah, sorry. I don't like to make it work.
Perfect.
Wow.
Yes. Wow, you guys are locked in right now.
One more.
Okay, let's see if Shaw or Griffin wins this. Uh-oh.
Why is ethical communication important in the workplace? It helps avoid responsibility, it builds trust, credibility, and long-term success. It makes communication more formal and slow. It limits how much information employees can share.
Okay.
There you go. Who got it? Uh-oh. Congratulations. Uh-oh.
Really?
Wow. Does that mean Shaw's the winner? Congratulations. There you go, man.
Thank you guys for playing. We hope that helped you take more information.
But yeah, we appreciate you guys doing that Kahoot with us. Hopefully you guys were able to retain the information. But we really hope that you guys are gonna become better communicators after this. Just make sure you guys understand people, realize that we all have different backgrounds and different experiences. Embrace feedback. Don't be so critical. Take it on the chin and learn from it. Next, practice ethics. That helps you build trust and credibility in organizations. That's actually how you grow. And lastly, just be clear communicators. That's all we ask out of this. Hopefully you guys, really learned something from this today. And now we're open to questions.
Thank you so much.
You guys.
Don't go anywhere,
Oh, okay.
and don't close your slide.
Okay. Okay.
Here I come. Here I come. Okay, so
Do we pause the video? Sorry. Or do we
pause the video?
Or keep recording?
No, keep this. Well, unless you don't wanna keep it, it's up to you. I just wanna give you some comments, some feedback. But I will give you upload that and I will give you individual feedback. Here are some things that really worked well. First of all, they were absolutely prepared. They knew what they were talking about. So much so that they didn't have to put their outline on the slides. Nobody looked at the slides. they just talked. If they just referenced and pointed to wherever they were talking about, what point they were making, otherwise they were looking at you instead of looking at the slides. Also, the slides are a clear mix of text and graphics, which is why we go to AI to do our slides, because it automatically knows how to do that. Another thing is, I don't know what, I've never done a Kahoot before, but that was really fun.
Shout out Luciano.
There you go. It's a great audience engagement because everybody obviously is competitive in here, so.
Sorry, we didn't have a prize, but usually we'll motivate them with
Yeah.
a prize. But thank
Yeah.
you still for participating.
Which is much better. I had a graduate student in executive ed who was a sniper. And when he was doing his audience engagement, he was asking questions, and the person who got it right, he whipped a piece of candy at them. And, yeah,
So like, please.
no, you can't come in. We're not done, we're not done.
Thank you.
Don't miss any classes. Don't go back in the back. Do not sit in the back.
You literally told me to sit in the back.
I
No,
did?
no, he
Oh,
was-
that's
he
right.
was one of
That's
them.
right, he was like, that's right. All right, so you were very confident in your positions. Also, I noticed when each one of you was speaking, you were looking at the speaker. Because if you're, like, especially you, I noticed you're watching him talk and you were giving signs of active listening, remember that? Shaking your head and making a comment, whatever. So those are signs of active listening, good for you as presenters. There were a couple other really good things I can't remember. I have to write them down. Nevertheless, couple things. Talk slower, right? Especially you two. You had a pretty good pace, but you guys were like rapid fire. It was, I don't know, did they mostly remember what you said or mostly remember what they said?
I think we all did a good job.
You all did a good job?
What other said?
Okay, so just the pace. And what that means is just a little bit less information. You try to jam everything in there, you're gonna feel like you have to talk fast. And worse than that, when you start to talk fast, your mouth is going faster than your brain, and so you get mixed up, and then your presentation is cut up and not smooth. I think that's all I can say publicly. So, yeah, so these are comments not just for them, but for those of you who are coming up to present. You know, your presentations are coming up. For the peer review documents, please put them in the discussion board for group 2, right?
Yeah.
Group 2, so there's a discussion board set up, put your document, attach them to group 2 in the discussion board, okay? I know what I wanted to say. This book, because I try to keep it cheap and have the same old version of it, the one thing that would have been great if you had reached out for it would have been the effect of AI on communication.
Yeah.
Like bots, you know, how does that change how you communicate? Like I say the nastiest thing to bots because I know they're not like, no, that was not right, you're stupid. So you get all your frustrations out on the bot. They're like, would you like to talk to a live representative? But if you're using AI to communicate at work, to your point about relationships, if you use a lot of AI to create your emails and so forth, pretty soon you lose credibility.
Yeah.
People lose respect for you because they're like, this is just, you know, the dear so-and-so, Shitok and Sherry. Do you know about Noodles the Pooch on Instagram? It's this little dog, and she works in an office, and this, she has this nemesis called Shit Talking Sherry. So she types emails to her, and every email you get now says, I hope this email finds you well. This is just the overuse of AI. People stop paying attention to it. You know, they just say, okay, Copilot, summarize this for me. That's it. So if you're in your upcoming presentation, even if the book doesn't mention it, think about the implication of AI on the topic that you're going to be covering, okay? It's not in the book, but it would make you a super presenter if you were able to incorporate that, okay? Nice job. You can have a seat.
We wanted to accept questions, but I think you don't have any questions?
You guys have any questions?
They answered all our coding questions.
So when you guys did your outline, you just did your outline, and when you guys practiced, did you guys come in person or did over the phone?
We just FaceTime.
Yeah.
Right, we did a group FaceTime and then we just went over it a couple times.
Like each of us made sure our stick to 5 minutes, so you rehearse your part and then all together see how it flows and stick to the 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But Gamma did, you put the outline to Gamma, it does everything. You have still to edit some stuff that you find, important for you to share, but it did most of the job, like the presentation and the edits and stuff.
And how long did it take you to remember the information?
It took me personally about an hour.
Yeah, me
Just
Yeah.
practicing. It's not too bad. I mean, you just don't want to over practice.
And when I read the chapter, I took notes and it's taped, so I knew like what was relevant to me and I mentioned that.
You took physical notes?
Yeah.
There's a study from Harvard that says if you actually use a pen and paper,
Yeah,
you'll
it
retain
sticks.
more
That's
Yeah.
true.
than yeah, but my handwriting's so bad I could never see what I said. So that's great that you ask questions, that's great.
The reason why I asked is because at my job, I remember the full-on disclosure from top to bottom is like 15 minutes long, so I want to make sure I can retain this information on the exam.
Yeah, that's good, it's
Yeah.
good practice.
That's a fair question, so.
Yeah, great, excellent. Okay, thank you very much. Do
Thank
I
you,
see
guys.
people dressed here to present? Or are they presenting in some, where's group one?